Hello, good evening, and welcome to Quizzy Monday. It's good to be back after a week off. Rumours that I was taken off air due to my tweets about Nadine Dorries are completely unfounded. It was COVID that got me, but I'm back, and we have a great lineup for you tonight. We have, from the Only Connect final, we have the Strigiformes, we have Dennis and Eli from the Crustaceans, and we have Michael McPartland from Mastermind. I am not going to talk too much. I'm going to go straight into bringing the guests on. So here we go. Now, I should say that the two Jonathans and Joshua's just hidden around the corner. They are in a pub. There we are. Let's see if I can just make him a little bit more visible. No, that doesn't work. So, yes, congratulations, Strigiformes. I have to play this. Contractually obliged. And yes, I did do one for each team, just in case. Congratulations to the Strigiformes, commiserations to Crustaceans, but that was a match befitting of the final. Absolutely tremendous play, and it came down to that final round. But Jonathan, Joshua, how does it feel to now finally be able to reveal to the world that you won the series?
That is a great thing to be able to do. I'm sure everybody would agree with this. I mean, wherever they came in the series, having to be silent about it for the last 7 months about how well you did has been a bit of a challenge. But can I just say first off, before we go any further, that I want to just jog back to the first round that the Crustaceans were in, because straight after that first round, Jonathan and I were having a chat about it, and we both said, bloody hell, if we'd actually seen how good they were, we would have been so intimidated before getting into that final that, So anyway, they were a brilliant team, and it was, we were lucky to do what we did.
Yeah, I mean, both brilliant teams. We saw the other week, 2 weeks ago, just how good the Crustaceans were. An absolutely superlative performance. So, yeah, I mean, it's a shame that one of the teams had to lose. Now, Jonathans and Joshua, you are in a pub at the moment.
Yes.
Show us the scene.
I'm going to try and do this.
Hi, Josh.
Say hello, everybody. Wave.
Those are a bunch of other contestants from Series 18 of Only Connect. It's great that we got together. We've got a comment here from Katrina. Katrina from The Mother's Ruined.
Hi, Katrina.
Gutted not to be partying with the Series 18 crew. What a brilliant bunch of people and programs. It was an absolutely brilliant series to watch. Lots of fantastic teams. How do you kind of reflect back on the experience? Dennis, Eli, to start with.
So, obviously, this is the first time any of us are seeing the final back, and watching it, I sort of felt very I felt a lot of closure around it. I think both teams did really well, and just the Scoobies did superlatively well. It was nice to see a kind of masterclass of OC there to finish off the season. It made me feel very warm about what we'd all accomplished across the whole season. It's a little weird for me personally, I suppose, to be reflecting on the whole thing, because me and particularly my wife have gone through some stuff that we shouldn't have had to go through this whole process. But ultimately, when it comes to the contestants and the actual experience of being on the show, I'm just so happy and lucky that we got to do it, and feel very privileged to be part of the community of people who've gotten to do it.
Yeah. Dennis, same sort of feeling for you?
Yeah. I think just the one thing which we kind of noticed a little bit at the time when we were recording, particularly when we were recording the final, it's weird, and I understand it's because of the way the thing's filmed, that we didn't meet half the people who were in it, really, which is a shame, because it would have been nice to. It was very much there were two halves of the draw, and you met everyone in your half of the draw, and the other teams you maybe saw briefly, which was. I don't know. That was slightly disappointing about things, but then I guess it did make it more exciting to watch afterwards, because lots of people we didn't know doing things.
Yeah.
In the chat, Pam is saying, hi all, congratulations, Strigiformes, bad luck, Crustaceans. Gerard, well done, Strigiformes, to win.
That's
Always
typical.
there.
A lot of owl-based puns coming up, I think. Yeah.
Indeed. And Catherine has pointed out something that Michael pointed out in the chat before. The only Connect curse working, Dick Fosbury's death announced today. The coincidence there that came into play. Strigiformes, first round didn't, and in fact, first 2 rounds didn't really go your way. The Crustaceans were outscoring you. They were picking up bonuses. Knowing kind of their reputation, how did you feel going through those 2 rounds?
Well, we didn't know their reputation.
No.
That's the point. But I mean, I think at the end of the first round, well, I can only speak for myself. I mean, I sort of felt, well, we're really up against it with these guys. And in an odd sort of way, I sort of relaxed, actually, because I thought, well, you know, we're going to get stuffed out of sight probably. And so let's just try and get a respectable score. And I think that made me relax. But I don't know what the other guys felt.
Yeah, there was it made it easier to enjoy it in a way, I suppose.
Yeah.
Made it easier to relax and not sort of like a pleasant circle.
Yeah. Okay.
Josh is nodding, so he agrees.
That's good. That comes over really well off camera. We've got another comment from another compatriot. This is Joe from Mother's Ruin. My word to such amazing teams. Devastated for beautiful crustaceans. Thrilled for Striges. It's been a privilege to quiz with such amazing people. Crustaceans, you came off the back of a semi-final performance that's one of the best performances I've ever seen on Only Connect. But the show kind of takes its toll. It can be quite attritional. Could kind of wear you down at the filming schedule and being in studio and the adrenaline and whatever. How did you feel in that kind of early part of the game when it was going well for you?
Dennis, you can go first, I guess, because like particularly round 1 and 2, this once you would on a tear. This one,
it just all felt reasonably fine. Yes, you know, we weren't really. I don't think we necessarily anywhere got sort of the big scores. You know, no looking for 5s and 3s and things, but everything felt reasonably in control, while at the same time being aware that there are a lot of points available later. So, you know, I think we what was it? We went into the walls 3 points ahead, which is not a lot, as it turned out.
Really not a lot.
But yeah, no, it felt reasonably comfortable at that stage.
Yeah,
There
I mean,
was
not
quite-
saying.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Gary?
No, carry on.
I was going to say there was quite a lot of behind-the-scenes stress for this episode. Striges, I think I'm right about this, that we were delayed. We were all delayed going into the final by what, like 3 hours?
Yeah.
It
We
was a lot
sat
of time.
around in the green room.
Standing around just staring at each other. And there was also a specific form of stress on our part in that Alex had come with a dress that was the same color as VCM's, and they vetoed her wearing it, and she didn't have any other outfits because you don't come with more than the 5 episodes you expect is going to be your absolute maximum. So we basically had to do a supermarket sweep type deal in John Lewis about 2 hours before filming, which was not perhaps the most meditative way to ready yourself for your first, like in Alex, in my case, our first quiz show final. Dennis has had one before. But so going in, I was kind of just in the astral plane. Like I don't remember very much of the final. I was like experiencing it for the first time again, watching it back. I think it was a very like there was a lot of stress for both teams, and for us, the Strigies had recorded like some consecutive episodes before. We were on our like 4th consecutive day of filming, and I think that definitely kind of takes a mental toll. Like if you kind of fall out of your rhythm at a certain point in the episode, it can feel like a very grueling experience.
Yeah, you really do want to be on your game, don't you? And the inspiration coming and the team working well together. And Alex's
It was very
dress was
nice.
beautiful. As indeed it was. So you do want that coming, but say the first round it was 1 point Strigiformes, 4 to Crustaceans. Probably my favourite question of the night, the Where's Wally connection. That was just glorious. Did you feel? I was going to say,
So it's just a brilliant finding it. That was superb answer. That one.
Yeah,
Last one.
really good.
Nowhere near on it.
Did you feel the questions in the final kind of took a step up? We know the walls were were nasty, but in general, did you feel the questions were another level?
Yeah, I think they. I mean, I think it's. I mean, are you asking both teams? Yeah. I mean, I think in general they did feel a lot harder actually. I mean, at the end of that first round, we'd got 1 point, but I don't think we thought we'd blown several questions, and we just thought we just didn't know the answers to them. I mean, they were a level up above the questions we'd had up to that point.
There were a lot more moments of being of complete blankness.
Yeah.
So for me,
Yeah.
like
I guess it's harder to tell with the round 1 and 2 questions. The walls, classically in the final, the walls are just designed. It flips up, and you immediately go, "What on earth is going on here?"
Yeah.
With the other questions, it's harder to say. They definitely did feel that edge, that sort of extra bit.
Yeah. I mean,
the only. Oh, go on, Jonathan.
I was just going to say on the wall, the thing about a lesson which one learns from this experience, which is of absolutely no use in future life because you'll never do it again, is that if you get a wall with numbers on it, most of the numbers have not a lot to do with arithmetic.
Yes.
You know, don't blow your head up thinking about the arithmetic. Most of them don't, and only 1 or 2 do. And then that's the tip for the future.
I genuinely loved it. I wasn't massive. Like the one that we got wasn't as much our wheelhouse because there were a couple connections in there that we were dicey on. But I love the finals walls. Genuinely, I love the kind of gimmicky walls. I loved last year's walls, which were color themed. I tend to really like number walls. I was excited to get to the finals walls, honestly, and it felt disappointing that ours stuff didn't fall into place as much because I love the writing for finals walls. I think they're really fun to do and decode. Just in that circumstance, you have to do it in 2.5 minutes.
They have a sort of penny drop quality to them, don't they? You know, so you're just staring at them and suddenly, it's you realise what it's about.
Yeah.
One of the
sorry, what you
said? The Strigiformes, what genuinely brilliant moment is when you thought you're only saying binary numbers in your deliberation beforehand. Then you were prompted, and you hadn't mentioned anything at all other than binary, but you just got it straight away. You just thought, oh, it's a square numbers. I thought that was a decisive moment in the final. It was just brilliant spur of the moment thought.
As we were going through the wall deliberations, I think I must have been saying it under my breath because I couldn't hear myself saying it, but I was trying to work out what the numbers were that were represented. Yeah, and I worked out it was 1, 4, and 9. I haven't got to the last one, so I don't know. That was
gave you a clue.
That was kind of like a hint, and I suppose I just had to bump something. So it was,
it was really good spur of the moment, educated guess.
Well, because that takes you from 7 points to 10 points, doesn't it? Which wiped out the lead, as far as you were aware, because you didn't know what the Crustaceans had done. So, yeah, I mean, that was superb. It was interesting looking at some of those sets on the walls. The presidential assassinations one, when you see 1963 and 1865, it kind of...
Yeah. And then it doesn't, to be honest, it doesn't really matter if you don't know the assassination dates of Garfield and McKinley, because you know roughly when they were, and you just look for plausible sounding dates around that.
1901 is always the one that sticks to me because it's a nice, roundish number.
But luckily, I did the musical Assassins at university.
Yeah.
Same year as Death is Victoria, so that's why Queen Victoria. So that's why it sort of rings a bell with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was you picked that up so quickly. The equivalent set, Dennis, you kind of picked that up in the kind of after chat, the Labour election victories.
Yeah, I can't remember whether I'd got to general elections and then the Labour thing was a.
It was a very last second thing.
But yeah, I think I had general elections, so I would have said that and maybe would have got a nudge on that. But yeah, it then just left out slightly.
I mean, there were two fairly, nasty walls. Each had kind of their own tricks. The binary thing was tricky. The number followed by half of its number. God, I mean,
that was a brood. That was a brood. That one definitely.
No, it sucks because we knew it, but we just we were saying multiples of 21, which is essentially the same thing, but the third one was 3 digits, and so it wasn't a multiple of 21. But we just didn't fully click as to what they were going for. So that was the one that felt actually annoying to me because we were there, we just weren't fully there.
Yeah. So it was 15-13 after the walls. Strigiformes possibly feeling a little bit surprised when you got back to studio and found that you were ahead.
Yeah, because as you know, you don't know the score until she reads. I mean, we don't know the score until she reads it out. By which time we're already in effect playing the last round. So you're sort of, as it were, you're in the game again. It's not sort of here you are, go away and think about it. And I think it was a surprise to us, obviously.
And Crustaceans, you knew that you'd not maxed out your wall. You knew there was a chance that you were going to be behind or very close.
Yes.
Because you'd obviously had the time between completing your wall and with the Strigiformes doing their wall. Did you discuss any tactics about missing vowels?
Not really.
You've not been a tactics team, really, have you? At any point?
No. It's just buzz as quickly as I guess
we've had some tactics, but with vowel, it's basically hit big button, say correct thing. We're gonna go in and try and smash the vowel.
I guess if we'd been a long way behind, then maybe we'd have just gone with buzzing instantly and just try and have a guess. But when you're that close as it was, then you've just got to play it as it comes.
You just got to try and next.
And Eli did the thing as happened every time. I'm just running the stats. Oh, we've got 5. They've got, what's the odds? They've got 7. Doesn't help.
You're so mean to me about all the statistics I ran during the season. I went through a bunch of previous seasons and looked at average scores that people got and used it to calibrate whether we were performing at a level where whether we needed to do better in certain stuff, whether we were performing at a certain average. It didn't help very much. It was just a nice benchmark that we were doing okay. But that's not strategy for the actual matches in the thing.
I mean, as it turned out, go on, Jonathan.
Yeah, I just want to interject that in the background, sort of members of the public gawping behind a camera. It's Jade and Molly from the Cryptic.
They look familiar, not random members of the public.
You got the only 5-pointer in the whole series, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done, Jade.
And use that 5-pointer to slay the eventual winners in the first round.
We'll take it. Because the thing is, when they beat us in our second thing, we said to them afterwards, "You've got one job now. One job, go on and win it."
And they did indeed do their job.
Lo and behold.
And it's great. It's great to see Molly, because when Molly was trying to join us on the stream earlier in the series, you had all sorts of technical problems. So it's great.
I was here upholding the side.
I'm in England now. Everything's different. I was in Ireland. It was terrible.
Oh, well, it's good to have you on. Better late than never, Molly, and good to see you again, Jade, as well.
I actually, it's quite funny seeing Molly when I saw Molly on the series, because we didn't meet during filming, so we were in opposite sides of the draw. But when we were at uni together, I once shot you before a lecture in the Assassin Society. 9 in the morning or something ridiculous.
Very, very cruel. Very cruel.
I'm very retrospectively sorry.
It was a weird thing. Sorry, this is I'm sure a diversion from what you're talking about. But obviously, we were opposite sides of the draw, so we never met. But we had this group chat And there sort of came this moment where Eli was like,
Wait a goddamn minute.
and Molly are going into twins. And I was like, Eli, this is Alex. And kind of the realization that actually we kind of knew each other. It's kind of funny.
Quiz is a small world, a delightful
It
small
really
world.
is.
Well,
It
also,
really is.
also when Molly, I'm right to say that when you turned up for filming on the first day and discovered two of your colleagues,
Two of my colleagues,
the more Porkians,
and
completely unknown to each other. They'd all
Incredible.
the same thing.
filming, walked into the room, and I kind of went, hello there. And then went, hold on, no.
Hang on a minute.
Which was, again, absolutely bizarre. Yeah, a very weird series. Huge. Anyway, we will.
We'll leave you to it.
Wonderful series. Oh, lovely.
Lovely
To have that cameo. Yes, so great to see Jade and Molly there. We heard about how Crustaceans were thinking about the missing vowels. Jonathan played a blinder on missing vowels, and Joshua as well. The game was kind of out of sight halfway through the second set, really, at that point. Did you kind of have that feeling as you were playing that final round of this is going very, very well? Did you have a sense of we've got this in the bag?
You never know. I mean, you could see if it had gone on another, they got the last three. If we'd had another 30 seconds, who knows how it would have gone. So it's always a bit, I don't think you're ever complacent about this.
You're so concentrated.
Not if you're up against a team as good as they are. I'm not just saying that to be flattering. I mean, it's just a fact. If you're up against a team who aren't that strong, maybe not quite as strong, then you might think, well, it's in the bag now. You might privately think that, even if you didn't say it. But I don't think we really thought that. At least I didn't.
I mean, so focused on what the next round thing is going to be. We're just like oblivious to everything else.
When it's tight, you just can't think. You just got to concentrate on the questions. You cannot think what the score is. If you do that,
you're lost.
You've lost because you're thinking. You've got to think about one thing and not two or three different things when you.
That's one difference actually between us seeing
It's really weird when we play in Cockle, the online version of it. Emma, who's generally our team captain, always seems to know exactly what the score is. Even
Yes, she
at
does.
the
It's
same
uncanny.
time
I have
being
no idea
probably
why.
the fastest player in the league, always knows exactly what the points are. And I have no idea
I
how
can never
she
keep
does
track
it.
of it. People got on at us in our first round for reacting kind of dramatically when we won. We won by 4 points, but genuinely, I had no idea if we were like tied or things were just flying back and forth, and I had no idea what the score was. Like I had a sense we probably won, but I knew it was relatively close, and I didn't know if we'd won. And people were like, "Oh, you won by 4 points," but like you just can't tell in that scenario. I will say in this episode, I did laugh watching it back because, like you said, I reel off the last couple of vowels, and I sound the most done that any human being has perhaps ever been because, like, I knew it was wrapped up at that point, and I was very, very tired, and frankly, I wanted to take my wine and go and sleep. So, like, I was just delivering the last 2 vowels. Like, this is not going to save anything, but we might as well get what we can.
But you got to keep playing to the end. Joshua was going to say something a second ago.
Josh.
Oh, I was just saying about we were talking about scores, and I was saying that in University Challenge, you can see the running scores on your screen. So after each question, you can see where you are. That's not the case for Connect. So unless you have that kind of skill set to be able to keep track of the score and work out which letters are missing, then you have no idea where you are. So certainly, from my point of view, you were never at a position where we were. I was never in a position where I was aware of any kind of gap in terms of the score. We were always just concentrating on the questions.
All 6 of us in the final are UC alumni. You guys were obviously all the Birkbeck team. Me, Alex, and Dennis were all on different teams in different years. But I know that when I was on, I was constantly staring at my score on the screen, like listening to the questions, but just like whenever I wasn't listening to the questions, I was just staring at the screen that had the little number on it. And it was a little uncanny not having it during OC.
But I think it also adds to the suspense a little, doesn't it? Because with OC, you don't know, and especially not being able to see each other's walls, you don't know when you come back, and there's that moment of suspense when you think, how did they do? Did they do better than us? So that's quite fun.
I'll give people one tip though in the future. It's no use in the missing vowels, but if you know where to look when you're going back into the studio after your walls, on the auto cue it says what the score is, so Victoria can read it out. So that's what we always look. That's what we always looked at when we went back in. We'll always see it as soon as you come back in the studio.
Well, that's a handy tip for the future.
Yeah. So in future, if you go on, look at the auto cue. It's on there.
Yeah. Not that there's anything you can do about it either way. Anyway, once you see it. But just interesting on that point that Joshua said. Do you find it in a way liberating? You can't fixate on the score; that you just have to play the questions. You know, and you see it's there, and it's a reminder that you're ahead or behind. But with Only Connect, you just have to play the question.
Yeah, I think so.
Clears a little, I guess. You can't be fixated on it.
Yeah. So what you don't want to do is be distracted. You've got to be hitting the buzzer rapidly because you know the other team are going to be doing that. I think the margin of victory didn't reflect the closeness of the two teams in terms of ability. Throughout the match, it would have been really, really close. And we know with buzzer quizzing that you only need to be a fraction ahead and you get the point, and the teams will know the same stuff, but you're consistently quicker, you get the points, and it felt like that's what happened. I'm assuming Crustaceans, you were going in on the buzzer for the same stuff and just being beaten to it.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely were. Personally, I probably am the player who got the most vowels on our team throughout the season.
Usually,
So, vowels is sort of my round, and I just was very tired, and the categories were not the kind of things I'm that strong on. So I was going for stuff, but just not as quickly. And you guys were very fast. So I don't think I was a split second behind you on that much stuff. And where I was, you were quicker. But I'm not really in our team, we've got Emma Lasler on there, and she kind of does the proverbs with words changed, film titles changed. Yeah. That kind of thing is more her deal. That's not really a thing that my brain can wrap itself around that quickly. So I admire you very much for getting to this.
Thank you.
I mean, it was a show that, as we said, in the first two rounds, nobody got a 5. I think there was only one 3-pointer, which was a brilliant Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
There were 2 3. Really, the Strigis got a 3-pointer on something. I think it was the 2 become 1.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
I would have been 3 on the sporting thing, but that's exact right up my street there.
Oh, I love that. I'm obsessed with gymnastics. So the second I was like, why is this not mine?
Yeah. I knew instantly it was Olga Corbett rather than Comaneci. And from the scoop I worked it out, it was the flip from Olga Corbett.
Yeah.
So it was,
the one they immediately banned because it was so dangerous.
Yeah, pretty much.
So both teams got 3-pointers. Just before we move on to, because I know that these Strigiformes have to go on and enjoy the rest of their evening, but were there any kind of favourite questions throughout the evening show? Strigis?
I really like the missing vowels. I think I really like the proverbs.
Maybe you did.
I mean, yeah.
The proverbs bit of the
I thought that was
really with the increment was a clever set of questions. I'm just trying to think. I mean, no, I like the picture question with Mr. Panenka and whose first name is but Mr. Panenka and the late Dick Fosbury and the rest of them. I thought it was a really clever question. But I loved your question about Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I mean,
it was really good, wasn't it?
I totally bought that. Really it was one of those. It's just a brilliant question.
Yeah.
The thing that they cut out in post was that we all said Crosby, and then Stills is exactly Dennis's shit, and so he immediately.
As soon as you got Crosby and Stills, you're laughing. But they said they were playing. The third one would have been Kate Nash's Foundations, and I was like, oh, I'm so sad we didn't get to that, even though I'm obviously happy with 3 points.
because I was literally playing that before all of the episodes. It was on my little episode playlist, and so they like played a little snippet of it for me before they moved on to the next question, which I thought was really sweet.
No.
But yeah, it's kind of thing that should reward expert knowledge on, like Stephen Stills. Like, not many people will recognise Stephen Stills' music. Yeah, it's a good little bit of expert knowledge. Get you the answer, which is a good thing.
It wasn't Stephen Stills' music.
It wasn't Stephen Stills. It was
the Still.
But it's still expert knowledge.
If it had been Stephen Stills' music, I think we'd have got it just like that.
Yes. Yeah. No, it does help when it's when you've got something like that that's a little outside of the standard kind of things.
Yeah. Crustaceans. Any favourite questions from your side of things from tonight?
I mean, obviously we picked up, but I like the Capitals one.
Capitals was really nice. Liked that a lot.
That would be nice.
I was nowhere on Where's Wally, but I enjoyed it immensely. Did you guys see the Wally on set? Because I saw that for the first time in the broadcast.
Yes.
Did you see it, Dennis?
Slightly scary. I would add.
We didn't see it. Well,
I did not see him. Sure.
No, on screen when you watched it live, it was slightly scary.
It was just behind them. Yeah. Did you not see this when they cut back to Victoria? Wally was behind her.
I didn't see that. No.
Someone needs to find out. Was it
the magic of television,
or did we all miss it because we were in the quizzing zone? That's what I want to know.
I think we all. Yeah, I don't think they added it in post. I think he was just standing there. I would say in terms of also missing things, the like tango that they were doing at the beginning, we all purposely had to look away from it at Victoria. Because of the cameras or something. So it was the weirdest experience of my life, just staring at Victoria while off to the side, these two people are like frenetically dancing and I can like vaguely see it out of the corner of my eye. I was like, have I died and this is some sort of dream world?
Dear. So, favourite question. So, in terms of the series, we'll come to. Normally, we do champagne moment. It's no point asking champagne moment to Strigiformes because I suspect that's winning the series. Crustaceans. In terms of your kind of highlights, your takeaways from the experience, what has it kind of meant for you, done for you?
You go first, Dan.
I don't know. It's just been a lot of fun. I mean, obviously there's everything else to it in the actual doing it on TV kind of thing, but mainly I just really enjoy doing quizzes, and it's nice doing quizzes with a team who I've loved playing with. Who, we knew each other a bit before, but actually doing something together is a great experience. We got to meet lots of other people on the and destroy most of them. Unfortunately, not this.
Fortunately not. It was a joy to play it. It was like really we didn't expect to make it that far. We knew that there was a chance we could do well, but like particularly after like playing like Monza's team in the quarterfinals and stuff, we could have so easily beaten us. Like playing very strong teams throughout. Like just arriving at the final, it was just like how we made it. And like, I personally never expected to get to make it that far. And it was a privilege to get to do so, especially with Alex and Dennis, both of whom I love quizzing with, and who I get to spend a fair bit of time with Alex anyway. We are engaged, but Dennis, like we hadn't gotten to spend for a long time with in person before.
That would all be a lot more complicated.
Yes, I agree. And yeah, just it's been for various reasons, like the people I've met through it have really enriched my life. And also getting to represent various different communities on TV was nice. I've had a lot of people reach out to me saying that it was meaningful seeing me on television. And I'm glad that like I've gotten to do that for some people.
Yeah, I think we've really enjoyed watching you. I think as a team, you've been brilliant quizzers, but I do think how you've carried yourselves in the face of some horrible abuse at times has been an incredible credit to yourselves. But equally, I think, as you say, has done a lot for people. You know, representation matters. People blazing a trail and putting themselves out there, that will make a difference. There will be people who have watched this who will get involved in stuff that they wouldn't have done before, who might put themselves forward to be on quizzes. And somebody has to be at the cutting edge of that. And unfortunately, we copped quite a lot of horrible abuse. But I think the impact of what you and Alex in particular have done, and others also on this series, will be felt for years to come, because I think you will have made a difference. So I think that's been wonderful. Strigiformes, obviously you won the series. That feels good. But kind of what is your overall takeaway from the experience?
Well, I think this was a part of the when Victoria asked the introductory question. I think I said this, and I think they edited it out. But it was actually just meeting so many lovely people. I know it sounds cheesy, but it was actually, just the whole experience was so lovely from beginning to end. All the teams, and actually something we haven't mentioned is all the production team, and everyone in the studio, all the crew, all the producers, all the editors, just to a person, they were all delightful and so welcoming, and just put everyone at their ease, and it was just being part of that group was just a really special experience. So,
yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's that Jonathan speaks for us all in that, I think. And I think also, just apropos the earlier point which you were touching, I think everybody in the whole community, if I could put it that way, really, I wish we didn't have to read the sort of crap that you read when you go through Twitter, in particular about, stuff. It's just really, just makes you want to go punch people, but it's but I think I just don't understand why people just don't just watch the shows for the shows, and people are people, right? But I do think that I'm being very inarticulate because I've drunk too much beer. But I think Gareth, you put it very well, and I'm just endorsing what you said a moment ago. I think that I think this will have ripple effects, which will be very positive.
I would say as well, the OC 18 contestants have been infinitely kind and lovely to us and been a rock during this whole experience. And also, as people who play Cockle, as Dennis mentioned, which is the online league based on the Connect, the three of us play along with Emma Laslett, who was on the show a decade ago as maybe the first openly trans person to be on the show. God knows, Quiz is a lot of people. I feel like that's probable. And so there's been progress since she was on. There will hopefully be a lot of progress after we are on. But it's generally been a lovely community for us to be part of, and we are doing very well in Cockle as a trans team, aside from Dennis token cis person. But and we get to do that in a way that we get to blaze a certain trail for people.
Yeah.
So it's a privilege.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh,
hello.
There is a giant
There is a very special
dog.
guest.
Is that?
They were already connect. What they're doing on?
Giant dog for OC19.
Joshua, I don't know if you've got anything to add to what's been said.
I think if I had anything, it would be ineloquent and poorly expressed. So I can only echo everything that's been said thus far. And it has been a really positive experience. Everybody's been very lovely. And to anybody watching who's thinking of putting in an application, to give you my wholehearted support. It's a very good thing to do, a very fun thing to do. So if you think you and two friends might make a good team, then put in an application.
Go for it.
And even actually, if you're on your own as well, you can do that. So,
Brilliant.
Let me back that up. For me, it's the best show I've ever been on as well. Even though I've won a lot of money on other shows, as an experience, it's definitely the best show to go on. So apply for Only Connect. Do it.
Also, they have the best catering of any show I've been on.
I'll tell you that the catering's very good as well. I agree with that.
He's too anxious to eat most of it, but it's good food.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much, Strigiformes, for taking the time out from celebrations or whatever to come on tonight. It's been wonderful having you on during the course of the series and having you on tonight. Alex, who many of you will know, wonderful final, both amazing teams. Congrats, Strigiformes and Crustaceans. We love you, Alex. Hope we have you on at some point again in the future. But yeah, thank you, Strigiformes, and perhaps we can wave goodbye to the rest of the people round the corner.
Say hello, everybody. Hey, wave.
Bye, rest of OC18.
Bye. Thank you so much, Strigiformes.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations. Enjoy your evening.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
See you then. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so that was the Strigiformes. That was Only Connect for Series 18. Done. Finished. Already got people join the Only Connect alumni group from Series 19. So
Really?
time waits for nobody else.
Nobody
Oh yeah,
else.
I was getting
So much.
reminders on my phone last week. Oh yeah, this time last year you were in Cardiff, and I was thinking about.
Yeah, it
It
really
always used to be the
Crazy.
telltale sign someone was Only Connect when you suddenly went their location is Cardiff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
it's
with
like
Mastermind.
when
Same with
they said-
Mastermind now. Their location is Belfast.
Belfast.
You know, for a Mastermind.
I go to Belfast a lot for other reasons, and when I went, I had a couple of my friends like, "Oh, nudge, nudge, wink, wink," and I was like, "Not only am I not doing Mastermind, I did Mastermind last year." They're like, "Oh yeah, we forgot."
Well, one thing I said, Barry Humphrey was on my team in Only Connect, and he was doing some work in Cardiff, and I said, put it on Facebook, tag yourself in Cardiff, and then people are going to think we're back on.
Everyone's gonna freak
So
out.
he
And it worked.
deliberately did that to catch people out.
Right, before we push on and talk about Mastermind, I just want to play a couple of videos letting you know about stuff that's been going on the last week and the winners, in fact, because we weren't on last week. We didn't even do the nominations like normal, but we still had some brilliant winners. Congratulations to Paul Sinho, who was voted Quizzer of the Week after a string of great results. Second was Stuart Field for his Mastermind Heat win, and third was Bob Deco for his performance in Pop Culture Challenge. Broken Hearts won Team of the Week for winning the Quiz League of London. Second was Foregone Conclusion for their OQL performance, and third was Banana Splits for back-to-back promotions in the Quiz League of London. Don't forget, you can nominate anyone for Team and Quizzer of the Week. Go to tinyurl.com/ATQ nominations. Nominations close at 5 p.m. every Monday. Last week's answer in need of a question was remote, and this rather... Oh, hello, that disappeared. Last week's answer in need of a question was remote, and this rather meta question by David Stainer won. Despite people often submitting them in All Things Quiz's Question of the Week competition, what adjective might describe the relationship between a cryptic crossword clue and a quiz question? Congratulations to David. This week's answer in need of a question is Argentina, and we've had a lot of questions submitted. You can now vote on the long list at tinyurl.com/WITQ Argentina. And if you want to submit questions for What is a Question, well, we release a new answer in need of question every Sunday morning on Facebook and Twitter. All you have to do is reply to that post with your question. Deadline for sending in questions is Monday at 4 p.m. There you go, Gerard. That's a reminder for you. So you don't need Rowena's reminders every week. So, Mastermind. Last time Michael was on, he went and racked up a frankly obscene score in the first round. Was it 30, Michael?
31.
31.
I'm getting
Outrageous.
flashbacks. Continue.
And we weren't on air, so we didn't get to chat about it. So you missed out. But tonight, you're back on semi-final. And the one thing you know when you're in a semi-final is that everybody you're up against, has got a win under their belt. They've got ability, etc. What you perhaps had as maybe a slight advantage, you've been there before. You've been in the final before. But how did you kind of approach going into a semi-final, knowing, from past experience how it's gone?
Just the same as every other competition I'm in. Just give 100% preparation. Just skip nothing in your preparation. Just write everything down that you come across. Don't take anything for granted. You could be beaten on the day by anybody because you don't know who's going to get through. My semi-finals were filmed before the first episode was shown, so we had no idea who was going to get through whatsoever. So it's just got to prepare. You just got to read everything you can, watch everything you can if it's a film, TV series, that kind of thing. and just take nothing for granted. Just revise and revise and revise and revise, basically.
And you went for Great Escape, which we heard about, and possibly the longest post-episode interview montage I think we've ever seen on Mastermind. We heard quite a lot about it, but part of the picking a good subject on Mastermind is having sort of nicely defined parameters. Was that in your mind as much as, you've always been interested in the Great Escape, but you've got a time window there where you could kind of nail the stuff?
A little bit, yeah, because you sort of know where it started. Although a little bit of my reading was a little bit of the pre-Stalag Luft 3 before the Great Escape, just in case, because a lot of the characters were there for a while. None of that came up, but I revised it just in case. But yeah, it lasted basically. They first started building the wall, the tunnel in middle of 1943. They got out March 1944. They were on the run for about 20, 30 days. And then a little bit about what happened afterwards, what happened to the German people who committed the crimes when they killed them all. But none of that came up, unfortunately. But I still revised it because I thought it might come up.
Yeah, and you aced it. You got 13 out of 13, which is due reward for your endeavours. Dennis, what did you make of some of the specialist subjects tonight?
It was a really nice selection. I think they all chose well. My pick of them would be the Life and Death of Stars one. Just because, so I think we there's lots of discussion around it saying you don't actually see an awful lot of hard science on because it's quite a tricky thing. But it was a nice subject. The answers were, I think someone observed, or that's what on Twitter was saying, quite a lot of the stuff is now coming into general science knowledge stuff. It was, but I don't know that they were all nice topics. All they seemed reasonably bounded, which is the thing. But I guess and everyone got a decent score on them. So
they did.
I mean, Eli, 9 was not 9 for. Was it 9? Was the lowest?
Yeah,
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, everyone's done decent, and obviously semi-finals you generally get lower scores than the heats. So 90 in the semi-finals, I think there's a lower score. It's still a good score for semi-final.
Very good, very good. Eli, did you manage to catch it? I know you were travelling back tonight.
I caught a part of it. I saw 2 of the specialists and 2 of the generals. So I was having to make food in the middle. I saw your general and the one before it.
I mean, I think it was interesting what you were saying there, Dennis. James Devine Stoneman, who has got a good science background, he was very effusive about Ben's performance.
That was
the subject. Yeah, but the performance was great. And it's think that people like Jocelyn Bell Burnell are now coming into the general canon quite rightly. But there was some technical stuff in there. It was did really well. Lee did really well on Peep Show, and we know that TV shows can be a minefield because there's so much detail, visual detail, script detail, production detail. So for all of them to kind of perform so well, 9, 11, 12, 13 was a great sort of first round. Michael, you were in pole position at that point, but presumably taking nothing for granted.
Oh yeah, you can't. I didn't know any of the people beforehand. I've met Ben since. I don't know, he's a very exceptionally good quizzer. But you can't take anything for granted. At semi-final stage, anyone could beat anyone. That's the reason why people are through. The good quizzes. That you don't win a heat in Mastermind by being a rubbish quizzer, do you? You're going to be good.
Yeah.
So you can't take anything for granted.
Yeah. Gerard's put Ben's performance on astronomy was excellent. I thought not an easy subject. Absolutely. He's very good technique. I think one thing I noticed about your technique, Michael, the short, fast answering, trying to cram as many questions in, presumably. Was that a deliberate tactic?
Yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to get as many questions in. You don't want to pass. But I've sort of practiced so I don't pass. I've asked people who ask me deliberately questions that I won't know the answer to. So I don't and ah thinking, oh, what's the answer? I just give something out that's remotely possible but not right. So yeah, it's get as many questions in as you can is a very wise strategy for Mastermind.
Yeah. General knowledge wise, obviously Mark went first, got double figures. If he hadn't got bogged down a little bit early on, he could have posted a significantly bigger score. But he had a run of 6 questions, which he got 5 wrong. Dennis,
I was going to say, I think Mark's opening question, the traditional gimme question, was horrible.
Which one was that?
It was the naming 3 American states and which country do they border.
Oh,
which is not a hard question, but so many of them are just relating to what's the word in a proverb. Or
you got to work it out. You got to work it out, haven't you?
That's one he actually. I think you got thrown a bit right from the start. Where I actually have to think about this for a second.
That threw me off too. Like it's usually just a simple one-to-one. Like my like one first round question I went out first round a couple of years ago was like a Muscovitis from which city. So that's a quick like one-to-one. Yeah. Whereas like having to work stuff out is not usually what they do.
In a quiz Grand Prix, you'd probably think, because when there's no pressure on you, you'd go probably instantly ahead. But
yeah.
Semi-final at Mastermind, you've got to work out these 3 states, where's their borders, where's...
What was the state? Were they gunning for Canada or Mexico?
Yeah, Mexico. So it was Texas, Arizona.
Arizona.
It makes sense.
So it's obviously southern state, but still you've got to work out in your head.
It's not a nice question to start off with when you're expecting to get... Everyone else is getting bowled a really bold one, and you're just like, wait a second. But yeah, so I did feel a bit sorry for him on that. But
yeah, and it's a tricky one if you in the heat of the moment, the stress of the moment, you hear the word state, and you're trying to your brain is trying to think of states when actually you need a country. So I know from my past experience, there was once where I didn't hear a word in the question, and I spent the second half of the question trying to extrapolate backwards what they're asking me about, and it was what goes in a pie with steak. And it was like, okay, it's kidney. You want kidney, but I didn't hear the word offal, and so it's just like it just made it a hard question. So
on a similar thing to me, I got the question. It was a dead easy question. The first one, it was who's a prime minister who did this? Because I heard Mrs. in the question, I differentially went Mrs. Thatcher, whereas normally I would go Thatcher. So it probably looks on TV, but I really like Maggie Thatcher. I go, I really respect. I'm going to call her Mrs. Thatcher. I just said Mrs. in
like
the
a word formulation.
Yeah, just threw me. I just thought, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. But I've never called her Mrs. Thatcher in my entire life. Certainly, I do on national TV.
I know, yeah. Very deferential, shocking. Just keep an eye out for the great people of Middlesbrough.
Someone's going to break your windows.
So Mark did well to pull back to 19, which we've seen win episodes this series. So it wasn't kind of beyond the realms of possibility, but it was unlikely given the way that the other 3 had scored. Lee pushed it out to 21 again in that sort of tricky area now that. It's easy to kind of get a run of bad questions, end up with 8 or 9, and for that to be quite a sticky area. Ben pushed out to 23. Again, some great answers from Ben. When you need double figures, Michael, because at that point, that's your challenge. It does make a difference mentally, doesn't it? The fact that you've got to get double figures rather than single figures.
It does a little bit. I thought I would get them, but you're not guaranteed. When I was in the final before, obviously different era slightly, but I knew I needed 11. I was last to answer because I knew I needed 11 to win, and I ended up getting 9. So that's why Clive Dunning won because but it's different. But you just don't know. You don't know how difficult your questions are going to be. So yeah, it's. That kind of score is absolute potential banana skin.
Yeah. Any other observations, Dennis? You're clearly paying Good attention to the questions.
I mean, to be honest, I thought, though the others had done well, I was pretty confident Michael would do it really through there. It was well within your capabilities, as we know, and we could see that you. I think towards the end, you just seemed to relax a little bit once you knew. I don't know if you were keeping precise.
As I said earlier, you can't keep score.
Once you were sort of 3 points clear, then it seemed
I was fairly confident. Yeah, I was fairly, but not 100%. Not 100%.
No, but I guess you're in that stage. You figure, right, the best thing to do now is just make sure I get the last couple of points safely in the bag rather than fumbling things.
Yeah. I wasn't rushing at that point. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Gerard has put Michael favourite to win now. I think we have to be thinking is somebody gets 30 points and follows it up with 27. That if nothing else, a very, very serious contender for the final. But of course, what you now have to do is find another subject and prepare that subject and nail that subject, and you don't even have the carrot of a trip to America this time round, Michael.
So terrible.
So, are you allowed to say what you went for in the final?
I am doing the Rocky films in the final.
Oh, very
no trip to Philadelphia.
That is shocking. It's shocking. They should have definitely sent you there.
Yeah, I would have paid money to see you running up those steps, and
I would have made it. I'm fit enough to get those steps, but only just, I would say.
Well, you've had two brilliant performances in your first round and semi-final. We really look forward to seeing you in the final. We've got 5 more semi-finals to watch.
There's 6 in the final, so 5 more to go.
So it'd be really interesting to see whether any of the high-scoring losers make it through to the final. Don't spoil that for us, Michael. But it will just be interesting to see if any of them do, because that has been a bone of
well, there's no high-scoring losers.
No.
See, there's no repechage. It's all heat winners.
Oh yeah. I thought had they brought it back, or is it? I thought there was
no, it's all heat
winners.
All heat winners.
But what we had last year was Andrew Fanco, for example. Somebody pulled out, and Andrew Fanco, as the highest-scoring loser, took their place.
I think
if they got it, you have reserves, but there's no repechage.
I think it's all the heat winners all turned up.
Yeah,
because I met one of the standbys and they didn't get on because they said all the heat winners turned up.
Right. Well, having been a standby once, I know that is a very unpleasant situation to be there. Yeah. Having prepared, but probably not prepared as well as you otherwise would do. You really want to be on the show, but on the other hand, you kind of a little bit worried about it, and you don't wish ill on other people, but on the other hand, you kind of want another go. It's a really weird situation to be in. Yes, well, it's good that everybody kind of who earned their place in the semi-finals gets to film it. Tremendous. So we will be seeing you again in the final. We could just touch on University Challenge before we go to the nominations for Quizzer and Team of the Week. We know that Newnham have been were a really good team last time out. Michael doesn't really do University Challenge, do you?
Rarely. I thought today, but
yeah,
I didn't. I don't know. I don't know much of what happened.
Yeah. I mean, Newnham were a really good team, but they were just aggressive on the buzzer tonight, and it didn't come off for them. That's kind of how it felt. They knew that they had to be aggressive. They weren't doing reckless buzzes. Didn't feel reckless to me. Just
a few of them were, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
And some of them paid off, but it seemed an odd start to things. I could understand when they were behind a bit, thinking they need to pull back, but right from the start, did they miss the first 2 questions?
Yeah, Cotswolds, and it was not like them previously, but Bristol, on the other hand, were just very strong and very, McLaughlin particularly. Was very good. Richardson is such a good captain, though. From watching her at work, taking in somebody put taking in the jittery suggestions of the teammates and coming up with the answer. I thought Richardson's performance was really good as captain. And Romer Ellis, again, on Newnham, just keeping going in the face of being behind, in the face of negs, just keeping at it, keeping trying to get in. It just wasn't that close a match. That was the shame. I think Newnham are a better team than their score showed, 110 to 205. But the good thing is they both get to play again.
Yeah, 200 in the quarterfinals, like superb, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, like a lot of teams like can have a real dud quarterfinal, and it doesn't necessarily reflect their ultimate ability.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the good thing about the format. I mean, it goes on forever, but it does mean that Newnham do get, if they win their next one, they get another game thereafter to get their 2 wins under their belt. So they do get another chance at it, which is great, because not only were they great to watch so far through the series, but they were brilliant when they came on Quizzy Monday. They were just so entertaining. They exhibit the joy of quizzing, and it just wonderful. So yeah, we wish them luck going forward. And Bristol, McLaughlin, again, another great performance under his belt. So we will look at the nominees now for Quizzer and Team of the Week. When we come back, we will look at Champagne Moment for the evening. Here are this week's nominees for Quizzer of the Week. Ivan Antonov, the winner of the Novi Sad Open. Kevin Ashman for 7 out of 8 in the QLL Cup. Susanna Brooks for 12 out of 15 in pop solos. Anthony Fish, who won the Counterpoint semi-final. Jonathan Gibson for a full house in Pop Culture Challenge. Tonight's Mastermind semi-final winner. Tracy Mack for 12 out of 15 in pop solos. Darren Monk for 7 out of 8 in OQL USA Division 5 Diamond. Paul Sinha for 26 points in QLL's President's Cup. Jason Stalachi for 12 out of 15 in pop solos, and Ian Toms for an OQL full house. And the nominees for Team of the Week are Cambridge, the Quiz League London President's Cup champions. Final Jeopardy, who beat OQL USA Division 4 Sapphire leaders to go top. I Want to Berwick Free, who beat the OQL Division 5B leaders. Little Common Royal British Legion, who won the Hastings Quiz League. This season's only Connect champions. Rock Bottom for their first ever win in the Quiz League London, which came in the Cup. The members of the Guns of Brixton, winners of the Novi Sad Open team competition, tonight's University Challenge winners, and Wildly Inconsistent Nerds, who won the highest scoring match in Quiz Nations Asia Pacific. You can now vote at tinyurl.com/QW13MAR23. That's tinyurl.com/QW13MAR23. Voting is open until Friday at 6 p.m. And of course, now we can put some names to those nominees. Michael McPartland for Quizzer of the Week, Strigiformes, and Bristol for Team of the Week. Champagne Moment. It might be difficult, Crustaceans, to kind of pick something when, you know, it's not the result you wanted. But Dennis, was there something from tonight's quizzing that was kind of a highlight for you?
Well, to pick one from our thing, I'm going to say, because it's one I got, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I liked it when a song I'm a big fan of got played. And that was just a nice moment. And obviously was useful to getting points.
Yeah, brilliant. Eli?
I mean, like, I enjoyed the set. Like, there wasn't stuff in there that I felt really bad about. Equally, there weren't that many moments where I felt amazing about. I did really like getting the last vowel of the series, the last couple. That's like felt like a nice way to close it out.
Yeah, excellent. Michael?
Well, no, other than myself to get into the Mastermind final, I would say the switch from on Strigiformes' wall from only saying these are binary numbers, prompted, and then instantly going that, and that was a decisive moment in the quiz. That was just like superb switch, and yeah, superb from them.
Excellent. Catherine is saying personal champagne moment getting Chilterns from hearing Northeast and Wessex.
Nice.
And Chris, good taste. Lola Stars and Stripes, a great song. So Chris Dyson is in agreement there. For me, and now I'm going to have to watch the episode back, I love the "Where's Wally" question, and now I understand that there was a Wally appearance.
Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah, the Wally crocodile.
I'm gonna have to watch that back because I'm too busy writing things down on my tablet to see the peripheral stuff. Damn it! It's a bit like in Community. I don't know if anybody watches or watch Community.
The dancers at the start of the episode as well. That was a bit left field as well.
There was a beautiful moment in Community where, like season 1, they mentioned Beetlejuice. Season 2, they mentioned Beetlejuice. When he gets mentioned in season 3, he then walks behind camera, and I just thought
so good.
That was just so good. We've got "Where's Wally" for me from the Urban Ballerina.
That's I think was that Katrina from Rain Mothers. I think so.
Could well be.
She said earlier she couldn't change her name on the thing.
Yes. But Urban Ballerina is a good name. So yes, that was Only Connect for 2022-2023. Katrina is saying yes. And lovely you could join us, Katrina. It's been a fabulous season, fabulous teams, thoroughly enjoyable, hugely impressive standard of quizzing. We now have a what's the word? Diminished Quizzy Monday going forward. We have no Only Connect to talk about, but we do have 5 more Mastermind semi-finals and a grand final to look forward to, and about 47 more episodes of University Challenge. So, I think it's something more like 11. But yes, so we will be here through to the end. But thanks so much to Dennis and Eli for coming on. Really appreciate it. I know it's not the easiest thing when you've been on a show where you haven't won. And I really appreciate you coming on and giving us your contributions, not just tonight, but throughout the series. Really appreciated having you on. Michael, it's been great to have you back after a little while. We look forward to seeing how you get on in the final. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Don't forget that you can vote for Quizzer Team of the Week at tinyurl.com/QW13MAR23. And don't forget you can vote for what is question 57 questions, I'm told, at tinyurl.com/WITQ Argentina. Voting is open till Wednesday when we'll release the shortlist to find the final. We will be back next week. I have no idea who the guests will be because the BBC doesn't tell us who is on their episodes until usually about Saturday. So yeah, hopefully we'll have some guests. But until then, have a fantastic week and we'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.